Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Free Chart's free webinar series. Today we have Rebecca Berry and Yvonne Lloyd from SERVSUCCESS presenting on navigating the maze of conflict resolution in today's workplace. Welcome, Rebecca and Yvonne.
Thank you, Tara. We are so excited to be here, and thank you for joining us on today's journey of navigating the maze of conflict resolution in today's workplace. Many of you know us, but again, for those of you who don't, I'm Rebecca Berry, Senior Sales Manager of Career and Workforce Advancement, and I lead up the SERVSUCCESS Hospitality Career and Talent Advancement Program from the National Restaurant Association. I am also the co-director for Chart's Colorado Regional Training Forum, and with me today is my partner in crime, YVONNE Lloyd. And Yvonne, share a little bit about yourself for us.
Hello, Chart. I'm so glad to be with you guys today. I'm YVONNE Lloyd. I'm the product manager of career and academic markets here at the National Restaurant Association in Chicago, where you will be coming soon. My pride and joy, of course, is the SERVSUCCESS program because it supports restaurant industry professionals' careers from the early stages all the way through management level. And I'm really excited to be here with you today to discuss this very common workplace issue, which is conflict.
Thank you, Yvonne. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to dive in. So let's talk about understanding the modern workplace first. So with that, as we dive into the modern workplace dynamics, we're going to talk about the restaurant and hospitality industry and what we see that is unique in many ways, and understanding its intricacies. It's crucial for creating a thriving work environment. And let's explore some of the key facts and statements that shape our understanding. And although I could spend endless hours talking about each of these key facts, we're just going to touch on a few of these key topics today. So stay tuned as we talk about more of these throughout the year. However, I'll give a little insight and some teasers. But first, let's consider the employee turnover rate in our industry. It's alarmingly high at 75%, which is much higher than the private sector, which is at about 45%. The high turnover is costly, and the average number is about $5,864 to replace a single hourly employee. And that is considered in training, productivity losses, and really that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you've probably heard me speak to that number prior, and you're going to continue to hear me talk about it throughout the rest of the year. And many of my other coworkers who present are going to speak to that as well. There are other things like workforce demographics, then employee engagement, and employee engagement is another critical factor. Engaged employees are more productive, they provide better customer service, and they're more likely to stay with their employer. Gallup reports that businesses with high employee engagement enjoy 21% higher profitability, 17% higher productivity, and 41% lower absenteeism. And that's not a surprise. I mean, Yvonne shows up because she loves her job, right? I mean, the challenge is when you have disengaged employees, they have a very negative impact on engaged employees. And we've all seen that throughout our workplace. Now, we want to ensure that we're keeping a productive and engaged workforce. So the importance of training cannot be overstated. And that's the main reason why Yvonne and I do what we do and why most of us are here today. And comprehensive training programs can reduce turnover by up to 25% by equipping employees with the necessary skills and confidence that they need. And furthermore, well, 76% of employees indicate that they would stay longer with an employer that invests in continuous training. And many of you, well, obviously you're a part of Chart, and if you're not, welcome, are trainers, and you're looking to continue to engage your employees in continuous learning and improve not just retention, but careers, and something that I speak highly to, which is self-confidence. So another thing we're going to touch on, and the big reason why you're here, is conflict resolution. It is vital in maintaining a positive work environment. And with that comes some things that you don't really think to tie together, but it's a huge piece of it, which is health and well-being. And it's increasingly critical, and offering health benefits can significantly impact retention. And employees given healthcare access feel more valued and loyal, and we'll delve into more of that shortly. Well-balanced work-life balance is really an important consideration. And finally, providing clear career advancement opportunities is crucial. When we invest in our employees' career development, we can significantly enhance loyalty, and 94% of employees state they would stay at a company longer if they invested in their growth. And 72% of employees say that the lack of skill set development and training is a key factor driving them not just to leave jobs, so keep that in mind, but the industry as a whole. And a big piece of what Yvonne and I do is to focus in on retention in the industry. So 42% of employees in the food service industry voice that their employers have not taken active steps to support them in their career planning and development. And something that I think is really important to think about is 23% of our employees may not have had the chance to complete their high school education. So this is an opportunity to help them thrive and turn their job into a profession. And with that, let's go into engaging our employees in the workplace. Now, there are so many ways that our employees are engaging in modern workplace, particularly in the restaurant and hospitality industry. These strategies are designed to improve job satisfaction and productivity to foster a more inclusive and supportive work environment. And there are 4 of the top things that are impacting what? Our employees. So let's look at professional development first. Investing in professional development is essential for retaining top talent. And it's no surprise at all that access to e-learning in these days, like platforms like online courses and certifications, help our employees to advance their careers and stay more motivated. We're really in a world of digital disruption right now where everything is online. Mentorship programs paired with experienced staff with newer team members, providing guidance that supports and fosters professional growth are really key factors. Prioritizing development is also a thing that will help, that not only improves our workforce skills, but also demonstrates our commitment to our long-term success. And we're arming them with skills for conflict resolution. And that also is professional and personal development. Again, think about that self-confidence. Flexible scheduling, it's a huge game changer. And it's something that really we saw a lot of when COVID hit, that flexibility for our industry, allowing employees to choose their shifts, swap them with their colleagues using digital scheduling tools. Having greater control of their work-life balance is a key thing. On-demand shifts enable staff to pick up extra hours as needed and also provide both flexible and financial benefits. And it allows them to manage personal commitments and be more effective. And I want to stress, though, that there are guidelines that you do need to be able to maintain around that flexibility to ensure that the business also follows legal mandates based upon state labor laws. So remember that, but also employees need to take breaks. Everybody needs a break. Yvonne, sometimes you need a break, right? I mean, we all need a break, but it's important that we're following those laws when we're following flexible scheduling, but it's important that we have that work-life balance. And then something that's become really important, and I see a lot of great brands doing, and I acknowledge a lot of those brands that I see on LinkedIn a lot, are feedback and recognition programs. Creating a culture of continuous feedback is vital. There's a bunch of really neat apps out there like 15Five or internal platforms that employees can easily share their thoughts and suggestions, ensuring their voices are heard. Digital recognition platforms like Bonusly or Recognize, like we use actually at the National Restaurant Association, are pretty neat. They actually allow us to acknowledge and reward contributions in real time. Like, hey, Yvonne, thanks so much for working on that project with me. I appreciate it. And here's a 5-star bonus that goes towards a digital reward. And this immediate recognition boosts morale and motivates employees to maintain high performance. By actively listening and recognizing achievements, we build a more engaged and loyal team. Now, diversity and inclusion efforts are incredibly important. They're the cornerstone of a thriving workplace. Regular diversity training workshops educate our team on the importance of inclusivity and respect, supporting employee resource groups, what we call ERGs. I try not to just throw acronyms at you all. We have enough of those. Provide a sense of community and support for employees from diverse backgrounds. And by fostering an inclusive work environment, we ensure that everyone feels valued and respected, leading to a more harmonious and productive workplace. And one of the bigger things that we really want to talk about is health and wellness initiatives. And by providing these, it's crucial for employee well-being and productivity as well. Again, productivity is one of the key words here. Offering telehealth services even allows employees to manage their health more conveniently. And we have major medical at through the National Restaurant Association, but we also have great teledoc programs through our program called ServSafe Benefits that allows us to have free teledoc because it costs me $40 through my insurance to use it. And it's a great plan that's not through major medical. So these types of programs that you can offer your employees are great. Wellness apps that promote mental well-being, like mindfulness or Bravely, even fitness apps. By prioritizing health, we reduce stress, absenteeism, and create a happier, healthier workforce. And happy and healthy employees stay longer. Question is, do you have an EAP program? But do you know what an employee assistance program is? And I'll share more of that when we get into alleviating conflict in the workplace. But first, we need to start at the top. And this also, all of this impacts career decisions. And this is all while we're here to help maintain an engaged workforce and also look at where we can reduce conflict with that to create happy employees. And so from there, we're going to look at our managers and what kind of a manager are you? Our managers are a guiding light. They're kind of the bread to our butter, or like I prefer to say the lid to the pot of the establishment. And if you don't have good leadership, you're going to see turnover, conflict, the disengagements. We want to make sure we're supporting our managers and continuing to mentor them and give them guidance. So as I turn this chapter over to Yvonne, I want you to pause for a minute and think about what kind of a manager are you? So Yvonne, let's get those manager caps on and start sharing the types of leaders we are and what we're seeing out there.
Thanks, Rebecca. Probably some of you are thinking, I know all about management styles, but really the point is that management is really, really, really involved in the conflict resolution, and understanding the different types of management styles that are out there helps you understand your team, because not everyone has the exact same style. So just for reference, for academic reference, because I am an academic, a management style is the way that you work to achieve the goals of a project with your team or with your brand. It really drives how you interact with team members that you manage, stakeholders, how you delegate work, how you set and measure goals, and how you make many other decisions related to the business. These styles, again, are not going to be the same for every person or every situation. And there are actually, pros and cons to each style. So we're going to do a refresher on what these are. So the three primary types of management style are: one, democratic. A democratic style really puts the voice of the team at the forefront of decision making, and the manager seeks input from the team and other stakeholders to drive the vision and direction for goals. Democratic leadership has a place on most teams because it ensures that team members have their voices heard. So therefore they have a stake in the work that they're doing. And when you open up these decisions to voices from the team, it really ensures that you're getting feedback to make sure that you have diverse perspectives and that you're taking everything into account. It really deepens your brand and your team's ability to innovate, adapt, and then serve a broader customer base. But there is a downfall, of course. True democracy is a slow way to make decisions, and it can result in stalemates when people can't agree on things and keep things from moving forward. So it's really best to use when it's important to let all stakeholders, have a say in the vision and direction that you want to go, and you have the time to have those conversations and get to that place of agreement. An autocratic management style is totally the opposite of democratic, and it really puts the manager at the top of the pyramid on a team. They're making the decisions, they're controlling the workday, they are not soliciting input from team members or stakeholders. And in most cases, autocratic management isn't productive for team building. It kind of takes that top-notch, top-down approach that leaves employees feeling disempowered and sometimes on edge and uncomfortable. However, autocratic leadership can be useful when a business faces a crisis, because autocratic leaders are skilled in making decisions quickly and moving forward, which is incredibly valuable when you don't have time to seek input and weigh options, and you just need to make a decision and move things forward and get it fixed. And then a laissez-faire management style is really kind of a hands-off approach. I enjoy the hands-off. I don't like to be micromanaged. It really lets the team members work independently and make decisions for themselves. This style works well for well-trained teams like the ones you're leading. they've been trained. They know what their role is. They know what they're expected to do, and they know how it impacts the business. So you don't need to micromanage them unless something comes into the point where you have to step in. However, it can also cause problems for teams, right? There are some team members who might feel directionless. They might not feel like they have the support that they need. Or there might be a lack of consistency and cohesion because there's a lack of clarity around communication, or because, Rebecca likes to be a little heavy with the mayonnaise, but Yvonne likes to be a little heavy with the ketchup. These are things that inconsistency leads to problems. So some workers might thrive under this lack of oversight, which could help them discover leadership skills and provide them with an opportunity. But overall, it's really a style that should be used with teams that are highly skilled and experienced, because it's going to just ease up and allow them to really make the decisions, cope with challenges, expand their creativity and innovation, and help you identify future leaders for your operation. When we go to thinking about our management in action, you guys are the training experts. So when it comes to management that there is no one size fits all or best style, and a manager's general style is dependent on their personality and mindset. But their tactical style should be based on the needs of the team member with whom they're working, or the situation that needs to be addressed. And it's going to vary from one task or team member to the next. An employee who has successfully learned a specific task or process isn't going to need the same type of guidance and handholding as an employee who is totally new to your operation or new to that role in your operation. Employees are really often at very different stages of the learning curve and even how they learn. And so they need these different styles from their manager. And so this is why style flexibility is just so critical. Managers need to meet the employees where they are on the curve, and effective managers must develop style flexibility, but great managers regularly employ it. The appropriate style should be determined by the particular circumstances in which it's applied and the specific personnel involved. So if you want to increase your flexibility as a manager, or you want to increase the flexibility of your management team, they need to be aware of their strengths and weaknesses. And they need to be able to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of their team and provide guidance, coaching, development, and explain the consequences of actions and how they impact the team's ability to achieve goals. Recently, emotional intelligence, EI, has been growing as a crucial factor in effective management because it offers really great advantages to the team. It helps them meet or exceed goals, but it requires some work. It requires understanding self-regulation, self-management, and an ability to control your own behaviors. And sometimes maybe you need to set aside your beliefs or really tap into your beliefs. And again, it should be applied in each interaction with the employee to help read them at a given time. What's going on that's making them frustrated? What is it that is holding them back, maybe from speaking up about something or explaining why something is going on with them? But with this information, you're really more likely to apply the correct management style. Impact of the leader. I'd really like to kind of focus in on 3 examples of the types of managers that are likely to be represented, in our industry, right? So we have a firefighter manager. This type of manager is going to excel in handling crises and high pressure situations. So we're coming back to that, autocratic management style, right? They're going to be adept at resolving immediate issues such as customer complaints, kitchen mishaps, staffing emergencies. They're going to be quick thinkers and problem solvers, and they're going to be capable of keeping that restaurant running smoothly, even when there's chaotic circumstances. But they're going to struggle probably with some long-term planning and preventative measures because they're often consumed by the urgent needs of the moment. And they're going to really be focusing on immediate problem solving, which could lead to gaps in employee training or development initiatives, and it could impact staff retention rates. We have a bystander manager, who's someone who takes a more passive approach to leadership within the restaurant. So we're coming back to the laissez-faire approach, right? They'll prefer to maintain the status quo rather than actively driving change or improvement in processes. While they avoid conflict, they're going to maintain stability in the short term, but they're going to risk overlooking opportunities for growth and innovation. They may also neglect in investing in training programs and employee development, which could hinder staff motivation and retention because they've already got someone who's really good at doing that. And why would they ever teach someone else how to do it? And then you have a builder manager. Builder managers are visionary leaders who really focus on that long-term success and growth. And they are proactive in identifying opportunities for improvement and innovation within the restaurant, including areas related to training, development, retention. They're always thinking about how to make things better. They like structure, and they always want to provide ongoing mentorship and coaching. They're prioritizing employee growth and empowerment, and they're creating a positive work culture that really fosters loyalty and commitment with the staff. Consequently, they not only attract top talent, but they also are retaining and growing those key employees, reduce turnover rates, and they're enhancing that overall operational efficiency. Builder managers are effective as long-term stewards of restaurant success, while firefighter and bystander managers may face a challenge, but there are times when they have to step in and they need to be able to use those types of leadership. So now we're going to jump right into defining conflict in the workplace, whatever everyone is here for, right? So conflict is unavoidable when you're leading a team. You're going to have misunderstandings. We're going to have differences in personalities, and even someone having a bad day, just a few reasons why conflict in the workplace occurs. But when we proactively recognize and address conflict, managers can create a healthy environment for its resolution. So I'd like for you all to take a look at the characteristics here of healthy versus unhealthy conflict. And when you look at these comparisons and you think about your operation, which side does conflict fall in for your organization? Are there specific locations or franchises where they're struggling with conflict? And are you and your management team taking time to evaluate and discuss the types of conflict that are occurring within your operation? Conflict resolution is an ongoing process that must be constantly evaluated to ensure that it's working properly. And this is a theme that you're going to hear over the rest of this presentation. So here are some types of workplace conflict. We've got relationship, task, and values, which are some of the most common categories of workplace conflict. These conflicts, regardless of type, can be developed in a number of different ways. It could be due to a misunderstanding, which might include a misunderstanding about intentions, expectations, or priorities, or other job-related elements. Maybe they're not clear on a promotion, or they're not clear on whose role or responsibility is something for a new process. These types of things come up constantly. Poor communication. I mean, how many times do we talk about the importance of communication and proper communication? But a lack of proper communication could be between employees who are coworkers, could be between leadership and employees, and of course, probably one of the most common and often, of course, between customers and employees, right? We're dealing with conflict, not just between our employees, but also with our customers at times. It could be due to a lack of planning, right? There are some times when employees are going to have to learn something new, or they're going to have to be put into a situation that they're not familiar with. It's going to lead to a higher stress level. They're not going to be comfortable. And so therefore, there could be some conflict that arises. Of course, one of the biggest things that we struggle with, and Rebecca brought it up, which is, of course, staffing, right? It could be related to, are we short on staffing? Is it that maybe potentially a team member isn't quite right fit for the brand or for a position? It's really critical for us to determine if there are any employees who are negatively impacting the overall morale of our teams. And then, of course, again, that engagement piece, stressors. Are they feeling unmotivated? Are they feeling underappreciated? Rebecca, she's a golden girl here. I hear about how awesome she is all the time, and I think she's pretty awesome. But, there could be some other folks out there who are a little bit jealous. And so when these types of things happen, that could be conflict that happens. So one of the things we really want to do, right, is making sure that we're acknowledging all of our employees and thanking them for the contributions that they're giving us. So in addition to those types of conflict, the way that your team deals with conflict is really going to differ from person to person, location to location. Some are going to avoid conflict as much as possible, right? We just don't want to deal with it. Some are going to actively engage in conflict. I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn. I will actively engage, and that could potentially cause some disruption, and it could be good disruption, right? Could lead to really positive, impactful changes, or it could be bad and make the team feel bad and cause rifts. But some will also just simply disengage, which is just as detrimental as if they were avoiding the conflict, or if they're a problem, team member who's always engaged in conflict. So what we really want is to make sure that managers are able to not only recognize the normal types of conflict, but that they're able to recognize avoidant and quiet conflict, because these unseen conflicts are often the most negatively impactful on our operations. So when you think about it, it really just makes complete sense, because when you think of conflict, you think of the word fight, and people don't want to fight. They want to avoid confrontation. They want to avoid uncomfortable situations at all cost. And the reasons for this can really range from an unconscious fear of tension to an environmental pressure to kind of respect authority and to not rock the boat, to, of course, organizational stress on teamwork. Is someone not constantly calling out? Are we constantly short? Are we constantly not getting the shift we need to do something else? Could it be that there's a disconnect between what the business is expected and then what's happening on the ground? Are there a lot of unnecessary and constant changes to processes? That's just exhausting for folks. And then are there low or inconsistent standards of performance, such as, why is one team member always allowed to do something differently, but when I try, I get reprimanded? And most recently, this phenomenon of quiet quitting has taken center stage, but really it's only one type of quiet conflict. Quiet conflict can be caused by a lot of different things. Of course, primarily it's dissatisfaction, burnout, being overworked, lack of communication, and inadequate support or coaching, lack of career development options, or just disinterest, right? They're just not interested in doing this work. So when you see that team member who used to be engaged starting to show more of these negative emotions, it's so important to recognize the change and to discuss it. And you think, oh, a simple conversation can really easily prevent someone from leaving. And it sounds so simple. And you're thinking, we do this, we talk to our people. But is every manager really taking this time? Are they doing it often enough? In this crazy industry, can a manager make it a regular priority to stop, slow down, and pay attention to nothing but their team and see how they're feeling? All right. So,
Yvonne, that just reminded me of a full episode of Below Deck that I watched last night. Let me just tell you.
well, we shouldn't be modeling after all the things that are happening on Below Deck.
Everything that went wrong. So we need to be better and above that. We need to be above deck.
So now that we've covered the types of workplace conflict, I just really want to establish them. Most importantly, when you're in that realm of healthy conflict, it can be an opportunity for growth. And the goal of conflict resolution is not to decide whether a person is right or wrong. The goal is to reach a solution that everyone can commit to and accept and move forward. So we're looking first at those needs, right? Rather than solutions. What is it that we need to solve for? Because this is our powerful tool for generating the win-win option when we get to that resolution. We want to be able to allow everyone involved to express their opinion, to feel respected, and to feel valued. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, right? It's important to make sure that everyone feels comfortable sharing what's going on. And so maybe it's not that face-to-face conversation. Maybe there's a different way that we need to give employee access to some communication tools that, confidentially allow them to share some feedback sometimes, whether it's a survey, a check-in, something, one of these fancy apps that Rebecca seems to know all about that I don't, because I'm a Gen Xer and I struggle. But really, when we get to this place of conflict resolution, we're building trust with our team, right? We are cultivating accountability. If everyone has said, I agree to this solution, then that means they're expected to follow up on it. And if it's not working, that's okay. You circle back, you talk about it. But ultimately, everyone has said, yes, this is what I think we should do. And so they need to be accountable and they need to respect that and they need to interact and make it happen. And then, of course, it strengthens empathy, right? Because you really begin to see your team members for people, right? They're not just your coworkers. They are your team members, and you want to understand. Oh, you know what? Wow, I understand that she's doing in that role. I understand she's got to hit her drive-through time. I understand. So I got to make sure that there's perfect clarity when I enter that order, especially if it has a special, dietary requests, because I have a gluten-free patron who's joining me, who's ordering from us today. And so when we're working on conflict resolution, it's about reaching these benefits. Again, creating that opportunity for growth. When we do it well, we limit work disruptions. We increase productivity. We have higher rates of success with new processes or a new menu rollout or anything that is new. Lowered absenteeism because people like coming to work and they like being with their coworkers. Minimal turnover. Again, we're really trying to drive up that retention rate. Rebecca and I are so passionate about keeping people in this industry because we've just heard so many amazing stories about people having crazy careers, career growth that is just astounding. Things that could never happen in other industries happen in this industry. And that's why we want to keep people here. And of course, decrease termination, right? Sometimes employees don't work out, but when you can figure out what's not working and address it soon, you can keep those employees and you don't have to let them go. So now we're going to dig into some strategies. Again, I know you guys are all trainers. I know that you guys all know this, but really I just kind of want to set the bar of these are the most common types of resolution strategies that are being used, right? So we've got negotiation, and that's when you have this dialogue and it gets conducted between the two parties, and the purpose, of course, is to reach a satisfactory agreement for both parties. It's going to involve some compromise, right? Then you've got mediation, where maybe things are a little too heated and they're not even taking the time to listen to each other. So they got to have a process in which you've got this neutral third party, which probably most likely is going to be the manager, who's going to come in, help facilitate the communication and help negotiate between these two parties to get them to listen and to get them to come to that agreement. And then we've got accommodation, which is when one party decides that what the other party needs is the most important thing, and then allows them to do that and supports them in fulfilling that. And I just thought that's so wonderful in this day and age that someone could actually say, I'm listening to you and I recognize that what you need or what the operation needs is more important than what I thought I needed. So I really just want to stress enough that we should just recognize the conflict is so normal, right? I mean, it's just a really normal part of life, and we're going to experience it in the workplace. Avoiding and ignoring it doesn't make it go away, doesn't make it get better. But once we begin to accept it and then recognize that we have the tools to be able to help resolve it, we're just going to be able to have better workplaces. So, as you navigate these different strategies, because again, they're going to be just like the management styles. Different types of conflict will call for different resolution strategies. So even though there are different strategies, there are really some general principles that can be applied as a manager. One of them, of course, is to stay level-headed, right? Even if the emotions are high between the two team members or conflicting party members, you want to remain calm. You want to model respectfulness. You want to model listening, not interrupting. You just want to model the appropriate behavior for all of the participants involved, because This is escalating and you want to start to bring it down into a place where the discussion can begin to happen. You want to respect both sides. While we may personally disagree or agree with one party more than the other, we really want to aim to remain neutral during the mediation. We want to take time to listen to both sides, show that we care and respect all parties who are involved. Want to speak calmly. When our emotions are ramping up, voices rise, sometimes maybe you're not as clear-headed as you would be if it were just a normal conversation. So you want to speak calmly, take your time, take time to summarize what the conflict is without emotional language that could escalate it, that could make it feel like, again, you're taking sides. List the facts, keep the emotions out of it. Talk about what acceptable behavior is. Be very, very clear with your employees about what acceptable behavior is in the workplace and what is not. And then go from there. Once that's understood, you can begin negotiating, mediating, getting to the resolution of it. And again, got to stay unbiased. And I get it. It's so hard, right? We're constantly picking a side. But we really want to make sure that all of the participants are feeling listened to, they're feeling respected, and that they have a voice in the resolution process. And of course, we never want to make someone feel ashamed of their actions or embarrassed because they're probably already feeling that. So we don't need to make it worse for them. And now that I've droned on and on and on about all of these things, we're going to get into how we really, some specific strategies for alleviating conflict. And Rebecca's going to take back over. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Yvonne. So we just looked at the types of conflict that we see, and I'm probably going to laugh, as most of you will too, just because we've seen such unique things in our industry that I can't even come up with a definition for some of the scenarios. So we've kind of narrowed it down to the basic challenges that we see, and how we can support you in overcoming some of these conflicts. And unresolved conflicts can lead to decreased morale, increased absenteeism, higher turnover, and we've seen that, right? So let's go ahead and jump into some of the alleviating the issues. So let's take a deep breath to start. And frankly, that's how we should all begin the resolution. I'm as guilty as most of you in not doing the 5 countdown approach and taking a moment. I had a boss one time tell me, Rebecca, we need to come from a place of curiosity. And I have to tell you, it has never steered me wrong. So let's always set the stage that way. You never know where that employee, peer, boss, or guest is coming from, right? What kind of day they've had. Multiple people have been credited with the saying that everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, and it's true. So alleviating stress and conflict in the restaurant and hospitality industry requires a tailored approach. And due to the fast-paced, customer-focused nature of the environment, how do we best keep our house clean, right? And it's effective communication. So always have pre-shift meetings. This is non-negotiable, and it should never be. Conduct brief meetings before shifts to discuss clear expectation roles and any potential issues ahead of time, and have clear instructions with your team. And I know most of you are doing this, but just to reinforce it. And if a team member doesn't understand the responsibility, and they don't have the understanding, take the time to ensure that they do, or create a buddy system to ensure that they're trained to the expectation. Clear roles and responsibilities. This should be no gray area whatsoever. And if there is questions, again, we need to go back to the drawing board and reinstate those expectations. Those job descriptions should be clearly defined in each role, and the team should avoid any confusion or overlapping any duties whatsoever. Cross-training, if you all are doing this, please send me a thumbs up right now, because this is going to alleviate so much pain in your organization. Training staff in multiple roles will increase flexibility and reduce any stress during busy times. I don't have the time right now, but I have a great story about Marvin with a Brucey's Fire and Vine here in Colorado. They cross-train and they have very little conflict in their restaurant. Conflict resolution training. This is a huge, huge thing. This is what we're talking about right now. And, there are so many programs that offer training on handling customer complaints, teamwork, managing stress. I'm not telling you you have to take Fundamentals of Employee Performance by SERVSUCCESS, but I highly recommend it because it is part of what I train on whenever I do a training to a team. But I highly recommend you set up some sort of conflict resolution program that teaches that step and the things that we're talking about today. Role playing, I know some of us just don't love it. I'm one of those, but it works. It works. It works. And it helps also to practice dealing with difficult customers. Conflict mediation, neutral mediators are key. Have a neutral third-party mediator to resolve conflicts. Structured mediation process is so important. Establish a clear process for handling disputes between staff members. And there is a full conflict mediation section in Fundamentals of Employee Performance as well that speaks to all of this. And these are just some clear conflict resolution steps. Identify concerns, determine the facts, develop a resolution, communicate the resolution, document the agreement reached, follow up on the agreement, solution all parties agree upon, freedom to resolve conflicts, and power over their work situation. Again, these are really important things we should all be focusing on. With that, how do we promote a positive work environment to allow our teams to rise with us? Recognition and reward. Acknowledge reward, excellent service and teamwork regularly. Celebrate the wins. And not just the milestones. Celebrate the small achievements. Like when you were rocking it on a busy day when you were super short-staffed, that's a huge win. Celebrate anniversaries, new store openings, clean health inspections. At the NRA show, I had somebody come up to me and say, Rebecca, so nice to meet you. We're just so excited because we passed our health inspection with 100%. Like that is a win. You name it. Show your team on the socials. Like I said earlier, I have tons of concepts that are just bragging about their teams on social media. I love it. I actually just sent a couple SERVSUCCESS pins out to some of those teams that I saw that were talking about their other team members. Pin programs, hat programs, t-shirts, trophies, whatever you like, acknowledge your team. Team building, organize these building activities outside of work to strengthen the relationships and the morale. Like I said, social pages for your employees. If you have remote employees, do things together virtually or something that ties that together other than once a year, and encourage feedback. This is one that I truly encourage you to do. We give a lot of feedback, but are we asking for it? We should be asking our teams what we can do better as leaders. It's really important that we take that feedback because we hold them accountable. We should be held accountable as well to ensure that we're creating the best environment for them. Regular check-ins. Ensure you're holding one-on-one meetings to discuss any issues and gather feedback. Suggestion box. Implement an anonymous suggestion box for the staff or share ideas and concerns, but this is the kicker. You have to follow through with it and act on it. Don't just take a great idea, implement it. We see this time and time again where we grab something and we're like, this is so great. But then we never follow through for more than a week or two or a month. Let's create a process with this. And then again, work-life balance. That flexible scheduling, we want to create those personal commitments, encourage the breaks, make sure that we're doing this, especially during those long shifts, and take the time to give the mental health rewards. Feels good to be rewarded, but I think it feels good to even better to give the reward. And as we step into the next step of alleviating the stress and focus on mental health in our concepts, let's talk about leadership and developing mental health programs. So Yvonne spoke a lot to the type of leader you are in your management style. Now, leading by example, managers should model calm and positive behaviors, especially during peak times. But as for when we're training managers, we should be training managers in effective leadership, conflict resolution, and stress management. So we should be arming them with solutions that when these things arise, they're calm, cool, collected, cool as a cucumber. And we need to follow the path of creating great leaders and follow through with these meaningful steps in career development. It doesn't just stop at leadership here. We have to continue to grow. We want to create opportunities for professional growth and career development. And with that, we want to provide opportunities for continued skill development, such as culinary training, hospitality management courses. But here's the other thing, and I'm going to talk a lot about this at Chart 106 in Chicago coming up next month with Brian Henry from Slim Chickens. We're going to do a lot of discussion on this in our breakout session on mentorship programs. Implementing mentorship programs to support less experienced staff but also to encourage career growth. If our leaders don't have mentors or mentorship programs, how can they continue to learn, to grow, and continue to teach? We need to continue to build taller ladders for our leaders. So keep that in mind. And with that, I'm going to share the last little bit, which is our mental health resources. Mental health support is essential, with 62% of hospitality employees reporting high stress levels due to the nature of their work. We're going to dive into the EAP programs as well as substance abuse and addiction resources, because we want you to be well equipped and armed to handle anything. We want our employees to be able to be healthy at work and have resources to come back to work. We don't want them leaving. We don't want them leaving the industry. And so this is where, sorry guys, where I'm going to talk a little bit about EAP programs real quick. Many of you may or may not know this, but many of your payroll companies will offer an employee assistance program, and it's really important for hospitality workers, and here's why. An employee assistance program is a workplace benefit program designed to help employees manage personal problems that might adversely affect their work performance, health, well-being. EAPs are confidential. They're counseling, their support and resources that for employees and their families. It helps with everything from stress management, mental health, substance abuse, work-life balance, conflict resolution. Employee retention is what it also helps with, productivity, performance, and overall well-being. Whether you are having an issue with your spouse, your significant other, your partner, your dog, your cat, your brother, your mom, you can call this support line and they will help you work through it. They are great counselors, and it's confidential. They are great, incredible mental health resources. So again, all of these solutions right here. And if you need more support in finding these, I'm happy to help talk offline. The other thing is that this is an incredible program I just found out a few months ago called Ben's Friends. Ben's Friends is a community of chefs, bartenders, line cooks, servers, sommeliers, hostess, GMs, you name it, who are seeking sobriety. Their mission is to offer community hope and a path forward for those struggling with substance abuse and addiction. At the core, they're hospitality workers who have found connection and the tools to seek and maintain sobriety while managing their careers and lives in a sane and purposeful way. Their goal is to keep those in the industry while helping them achieve sobriety, where a lot of these resources tend to encourage you to leave the industry. It's an incredible resource. They have Zooms every day, and they are continuing to open up in-person meetings. So just some great resources here that I am happy to send out as well. And with that, we are kind of at time, but we wanted to talk about one thing you can do is peer-to-peer kind of role play sessions where you can get into where you focus in on peer-to-peer conflict, customer service conflict, just environment, front of the house, back of the house, figure out what the conflict is and what is the resolution. And today's takeaways, which I'll just leave there for a quick second, where you can understand your modern workforce. We'll look at professional development, work-life balance, feedback and recognition, mental health. Big thing with mental health, tying back into conflict resolution, the type of leaders that you are, leaders you want to be, leaders I challenge you to be, and then all the different types of conflict resolution. And then again, please put in your questions. Ace, the restaurant dog, I have made our mascot, whether we like it or not, has the answers for you. And we are here to answer any questions.
Hey there. So I did see that Travis did throw a question/comment, and he said, I think it was from the earlier part of your presentation where he said, I hear the use of the term work-life balance, but what are your thoughts on switching balance with harmony? Balance indicates that these two things live separately, but in today's workplace and personal life, they really are intertwined. No?
I love the word harmony, and Travis, I think I'm going to steal that from you. And now I will say, moving forward from Travis in all of my presentations, the word harmony. I think that's a great term, and I think it's more fitting to work-life balance. I agree. It's kind of like we're balancing on a teeter-totter. The harmony suggests we have a flow in our life, and that's what we're trying to get right. When we talk about mental health, when we talk about conflict resolution, we talk about a nice flow. So thank you, Travis. I love that. And I think that's a really important thing to have. And one thing I do want to say is, conflict leads to resolution. You get through the conflict to get to the resolution. And I think it's important to have those skills. And, something I also had come in earlier was, what if you can't, Yvonne, reach a solution between two people?
Well, you just answered that for me. You said that the conflict leads to the resolution. And so I think you have to take the time to go through those steps, right? That's when mediation comes into it, right? That neutral third party comes into it. And I think it's not that the conflict can't be resolved. It may not be resolved in the way that we hope for it to be resolved. It may be a painful resolution, right? Losing an employee, losing a team member, or it could be something that actually is just difficult to go through, but it results in a really great change for the operation that makes things better overall. And so I think it's really about choosing the right strategy that helps you get to that resolution rather than throwing your hands up and saying, this is an impossible scenario and there's nothing that can be done. It's just about doing the work and unfortunately going through that discomfort to get to the place that gets you to a solution. And unfortunately, it isn't always necessarily going to be happy, but it doesn't mean that it can't be positive.
I think
Does
that's
that make
great.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for the questions, everyone. And huge shout out to those of you, excuse me, cross training. Great job. It really helps to alleviate conflict, to alleviate stress when you are in a jam and you are short in one department and you have enough staff to be able to move people around. Great job. Do we have any more questions before we wrap up? Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, you can reach me at rberry@restaurant.org, Yvonne at YLLOYD@restaurant.org. I will be at Chart. I'm so excited. If you are in Colorado, we are looking to host our next regional training forum. I believe October 15th. It's not solidified yet. We were just throwing it out there, but I hope to see everyone soon. Thank you. And I'll let Tara wrap things up.
That's it. Thank you so much, Rebecca and Yvonne. This recording will be on the website by the end of the day today. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.